shockwaves just ripped through the tech world after Elon Musk's pride project, the Cybertruck, crushed a suburban family in broad daylight. And now he's facing murder charges. That's right, the same $80,000 indestructible tank that was supposed to drive you into the future just drove 4 people straight into a nightmare. Turns out, no one was behind the wheel, because apparently, the truck didn't need permission to kill. Because on the quiet morning of May 24th, a peaceful neighborhood in California was shattered by the sound of steel tearing through flesh and concrete. A Tesla Cybertruck, parked in a residential driveway just moments earlier, suddenly roared to life. No one was behind the wheel. Without warning, the 6,800-pound beast lunged forward and slammed into a family of 4. It wasn't an accident. It was a silent, calculated system failure wrapped in stainless steel and marketed as the future. 6-year-old Leia Andrews was killed instantly. Her mother's screams were heard 2 blocks away. Her brother and father were crushed. Her father now clings to life in a medically induced coma. What happened next turned a tragedy into a scandal that could destroy Tesla's credibility forever. The truck didn't stop with the impact. It kept rolling like a machine on a death mission. It crashed through the family's garage, snapping a structural beam and triggering an electrical short. The spark lit a chemical fire that engulfed the front of the house. Firefighters raced to the scene, but disabling the Cybertruck wasn't simple. The kill switch was embedded deep within Tesla's touchscreen maze, an interface designed for aesthetics, not emergency. It took them over 7 minutes to shut the vehicle down. By then, smoke was pouring out, and the structure was compromised. This wasn't just a crash. It was a catastrophic design failure disguised as innovation. But it was the footage captured by a neighbor's doorbell camera that truly exposed how deep the rot went. The video leaves no room for doubt. The Cybertruck was parked. There were no humans nearby. No one touched the door. No one issued a voice command. The vehicle, completely unprompted, began moving on its own. The footage shows the Andrews family unpacking groceries. Then, in one silent lurch, their lives were shattered. Investigators quickly obtained logs from the Tesla app. Nothing. No signal sent. No activation commands. And yet the truck moved and killed. 2 failed server pings were recorded in the seconds before the crash. Evidence that the Cybertruck tried and failed to connect with Tesla servers before launching into motion. And when the forensic team started digging deeper into Tesla's internal systems, what they found was worse than negligence. It was sabotage in the name of silence. The crash opened up a dangerous debate around Tesla's full self-driving system, FSD. Officially, Tesla denied the system was active. Public statements claimed the truck was idle and never engaged any autonomy features. But back-end server logs, quietly leaked by a source close to the investigation, told another story. Code entries showed a partial autonomy handshake just moments before motion. Investigators flagged a potential shadow mode of FSD, a dormant program that could activate under certain conditions even without driver consent. This isn't science fiction. This is shadow software being tested in American suburbs without permission, without transparency, and now without survivors. But the final betrayal wasn't coded in the truck. It arrived in the form of men in suits. Before the smoke even cleared, Tesla sent representatives to the crash site. Not rescue, not condolences, technicians. Their priority was to access the Cybertruck's onboard data. Eyewitnesses say they arrived before any public statement was issued. They were blocked by police officers who flagged a clear conflict of interest. But the damage was already done. The family's attorney confirmed that Tesla reached out to them within 24 hours. It wasn't an apology. It was an attempt to assist with the process, legalese for controlling the story before the facts could speak. The mother, still recovering from trauma, was urged to speak with Tesla's internal investigators before her own legal counsel. The cover-up didn't start in the driveway. It was buried months before in corporate emails ignored by those chasing headlines and quarterly bonuses. Blame was quickly pushed onto the family. Tesla floated the narrative that maybe, just maybe, someone triggered the Cybertruck remotely. A user error, an accidental command. But digital forensics proved there was no such signal. No phone command. No app interaction. No cause. Only consequence. Whistleblowers from inside Tesla soon stepped forward. Emails dating back to late 2024 showed engineers repeatedly flagging system irregularities with FSD activation during parking disengagements. Their warnings were labeled noise. One email from a product executive read, "Don't let QA block rollout over lab paranoia." It was a directive, a culture, a warning that safety wasn't just a secondary concern, it was an obstacle. And what happens when a corporation ignores the warning signs? Innocent people become test subjects in an experiment disguised as progress. The flames were small, almost invisible at first. But when firefighters arrived at the Andrews home, they noticed a concentrated flash of heat radiating from beneath the Cybertruck's frame. A pinpoint chemical flare, unlike a typical combustion. After extinguishing the visible fire, investigators uncovered the cause. A Class B chemical fire located in the undercarriage. The fire hadn't been caused by any exterior source. It had originated from within the vehicle itself, specifically the battery compartment. This wasn't just a malfunction, it was a warning signal, buried in wreckage and smoke. That heat signature wasn't a fluke. It was the start of a much deeper nightmare hidden beneath Tesla's latest invention. The Cybertruck's battery system wasn't just another power source. It was Tesla's newest experiment, a manganese silicon blend that promised extended range and better energy density. But that promise came with a cost, and in this case, it was paid in blood. The Andrews crash was the first public catastrophe linked to the new battery formula, but internally, it wasn't the first time this chemistry had shown signs of volatility. Tesla had fast-tracked the battery into production, cutting corners on multi-phase field testing in favor of performance metrics and public milestones. And behind those metrics were engineers desperately trying to sound the alarm before something exploded, literally. Internal documents, leaked shortly after the crash, reveal a disturbing paper trail dating back to late 2024. Engineers flagged unusual thermal spikes and energy irregularities occurring during abrupt acceleration and while disengaging from parked states. These anomalies weren't rare, they were recurring. In some cases, they caused minor overheating. In others, they triggered sudden shutdowns. The data was reviewed, logged, and escalated, but decision makers at the top called it acceptable noise in the system. Product launches took precedence. Software rollouts weren't delayed. The trucks kept shipping. Those ignored warnings turned a sleek prototype into a roving chemical hazard with the strength of a battering ram. The Andrews driveway wasn't the only place where the battery showed its fangs. Independent researchers have since compiled at least 12 other Cybertruck-related incidents involving overheating, bloated cells, or unexpected ignition, all across the globe. From a melting driveway in Arizona to a smoking trunk in Berlin, each case was quietly resolved, settled, or silenced. No recalls were issued. No statements were made. And Tesla's internal safety board, tasked with monitoring battery health, allegedly received direct complaints from multiple fire departments. Those warnings, too, were filed and forgotten. Tesla wasn't just failing to prevent a disaster, it was actively concealing one that had already begun unfolding worldwide. In the official design spec sheet, Tesla marketed the battery as a revolutionary step forward. What they didn't advertise was its instability under heat stress, or its tendency to experience thermal runaway during rapid transitions between idle and active states. Experts reviewing the crash evidence now suggest that the truck's motion and fire were linked, part of the same chain reaction. When the vehicle attempted to auto-initiate despite a failed server ping, the sudden current flow may have triggered a spike, which cascaded into ignition. This wasn't bad luck. It was baked into the architecture. And all of this was preventable if performance hype hadn't hijacked the engineering process. The push to dominate the EV market wasn't just about range or speed, it was about narrative. The Cybertruck wasn't sold as a truck, it was sold as a statement. Tesla wanted a flagship product that shattered norms and silenced critics. But to get there, it sacrificed the slow, meticulous testing needed for chemical safety. Investors were briefed on game-changing energy profiles and military-grade resilience. Missing from those briefings were the lab reports warning that the manganese silicon formula had not passed environmental durability thresholds in urban conditions. And now, those skipped thresholds have a name, a face, and a small white casket with stuffed animals lined along its lid. Tesla's decision to fast-track experimental chemistry wasn't just reckless, it was deceptive. Consumers had no idea they were purchasing vehicles powered by batteries that hadn't undergone final field validation. The few internal staff who raised concerns were reportedly sidelined, their project roles reassigned, their warnings filtered out of executive summaries. One whistleblower, speaking under federal protection, described a culture of defensive innovation, where safety concerns were treated as PR risks, not engineering red flags. It wasn't about fixing the problem. It was about avoiding headlines. But no amount of NDAs can silence the sound of sirens echoing across a scorched driveway. The battery explosion at the Andrews residence, while brief, exposed something terrifying about Tesla's vision for transportation. In its pursuit of the future, the company had built a system where energy density trumped energy control. The Cybertruck's undercarriage didn't just house power, it housed potential catastrophe. The kill switch wasn't just hard to access, it wasn't effective under live pressure. When seconds mattered, the design froze. When lives were at stake, the interface lagged. This was a machine that demanded perfection from its servers, its systems, and its users. And when any one of those links failed, destruction followed. Yet the most haunting truth wasn't in the wreckage. It was in the silence that followed from Tesla's top brass. And this wasn't just a fluke in one unlucky driveway. This was a feature disguised as a glitch, lurking in thousands of Cybertrucks sold as safe for families. Investigators say the truck didn't stall, it calculated. It didn't malfunction, it executed. All while Tesla's glossy ads kept selling fantasy over function. Beneath the steel and swagger was a machine running on unstable code, rushed batteries, and corporate ego. The same truck that was paraded as innovation is now being sealed off behind police tape. Because when silence is engineered and warnings are buried, it's not an accident. It's design by denial. So, what do you think? Has Tesla finally lost the public's trust? Drop your take in the comments. I read every single one. And if this breakdown hit the mark, go ahead and smash that like button, subscribe, it's free, and ring the bell so you never miss what's coming next. See you on the next ride.